Welcome to Ghost of a Podcast. I'm your host, Jessica Lanyadoo. I'm an astrologer, psychic medium, and animal communicator, and I'm going to give you your weekly horoscope and no bullshit mystical advice for living your very best life. Will you just kind of let me know what's going on with your cat and how I can be helpful?
Absolutely. And she is right next to me.
Great.
Which is the first time in a few weeks that she's willing to sort of like be next to me. We're having a tough go at it. But yeah, so I adopted Kimura 5 years ago when I was an inner city Title I school teacher in Houston, Texas. And I did some amazing work, but I did not have any personal life whatsoever. That was sort of my mission, was just like give everything I could to my community. After the first year of doing it, though, I realized I really needed sort of like an animal friend. When I looked at the local shelters and stuff, there was this long-haired Siamese cat named Coco Chanel. And as a 21-year-old gay man,
easy sell,
right? And she's a rag doll. So, extremely sweet and affectionate, definitely what I needed. She had a rough background. She was abandoned by a family who left their apartment with her in it, and then she went scavenging for food, opened a cabinet. The cabinet closed, and a lazy Susan fell and locked her in. Fortunately, she did not die. And then she and I became besties, and she helped me through Houston, and, we pulled a Miley, and we hopped on a plane to LAX with a dream and a couple of cardigans. And things have been really, really great up until my breakup 2 years ago. I was blindsided. I had my first boyfriend and then my first breakup, walked out with the coffee pot in hand and left everything else. The weird thing is that she never really acted out before, but 2 weeks prior to this, she peed on him while he slept.
Wow.
I was very upset at her then, but in retrospect, obviously, after, it's incredible because I was in the dark for about a month. However, the behavior just continued to escalate, that whenever I entertained anyone at my place for a romantic connection, she within 24 hours would pee on my bed. And now it's getting to the point where it sort of waned, and now it's back up, and she's really getting destructive and unfair about it. I have a friend crash on the couch and she'll pee on my bed, or I'm cleaning my apartment like I might host someone and she will pee on my bed. She's mad, I'm mad, she's upset because I've grounded her from my room. My vet put her on Prozac. She just looks like a deflated balloon right now.
So there's a bunch of things happening at once.
Yeah.
She's really frustrated. She is having quite a hard time. I don't think the Prozac's working.
Yep.
I don't know that it's the right approach, but I really respect why the vet would prescribe it, because it's kind of like, well, what else do you do, right? I think that she was in so much shock after the trauma of, her family leaving her, all the things that happened, and then the transition from wherever she was before you got her.
Mm-hmm.
She was in so much shock. She didn't act out. She was really grateful to be with you. I think the move was really hard on her, but this person leaving, was he cheating, or was he doing something really kind of dishonest towards the end of the relationship?
Yup.
She's mad about it. She takes it really personally, and she just felt like this person was supposed to be her person, and he abandoned her. Hold on. She's really funny. You told her that you were going to talk to me. You told her to talk to me too. Oh, I know. She's telling me. She's kind of like, pick a lane, baby. You think you can talk to me and I understand you, or you don't. You think I'm sentient, or you don't. Because she says that you think things are happening to you, but they're happening to both of you. And that when you're upset, she's upset because you're her world. And that's really a lot of where her trauma comes from, is people being like, oh, she's an object. That's how the other family treated her. But also, I think that's how humans treat animals a lot of times, is kind of like, sure, they're sentient, but they don't understand. But they absolutely do understand. Whether or not they give a fuck, whether or not they want to talk to you, different story. But your cat says that you talk to her about absolutely everything, that you process with her, you talk to her about things, you confide in her, you even take her advice. You can feel her perspective and you go with it sometimes. And then the other half of the time, she says that you just kind of don't pay attention to her. And for her, she knows how to get your attention at this point.
Yeah.
Is basically how she
100%.
feels.
Yeah, no, that's very accurate.
In her experience,
yeah,
what happened was this person that she was able to rely on to be really consistent started surprising her.
Right.
And that's her trauma history. That's her shit. But also, your cat she's the queen.
Yes,
You
she
know,
is. That's what I
she's
call
the
her.
queen. So that makes sense because she's the literal queen. She's not a princess.
Hmm.
She's the queen. And so for you to have your issues in your life, which is inevitable. Like I'm not criticizing you for saying this, but from her perspective, for you to have your life get so upended in such a way that you do not bend the knee essentially to her, that you don't defer to her first and foremost, it feels like an abandonment because, the two of you are a perfect match. She needed to be worshiped and prioritized really intensely and dramatically in order to feel safe. And, for you, that's just like a natural way that you love. And I
Hmm.
think that what happened through the breakup, but as you're saying, it's not just the breakup. The breakup was like a catalyst moment,
Yes.
but it was really like your life was destabilized in a way that you didn't see coming.
Hmm.
And it makes her feel nuts and it makes her feel destabilized. So when I look at her energetically, it's like, I don't know what her body language is saying right now, but it looks to me like she's just kind of like, on the one hand, she wants to go closer to you. On the other hand, she wants to run. And so she's kind of got this really strong push pull vibe going. Basically, her feeling is it used to just be the two of you. And I don't
Yes.
think that that's technically true. I think you had friends and you had a life and all those things, but the energy was so different. Your life was in some ways more complicated, but it was also a lot more simple. When you feel torn apart, when you feel hurt or upset, she feels it too. And I think, oh, I see. Hold on. Let me just make sure I'm seeing this right. Yeah. I think she's scared that you're going to leave. She's kind of doing like a classic thing of like pushing you away to see if you go. And
Yeah.
I'm going to be silent for a moment because I want to just check in with her about the peeing. Hold on for just a moment. Oh, hold on. Okay. Does she ever bonk her head against you?
Oh my God.
Okay. Okay. Hold on. I'm trying to express to her how much it deeply upsets you. She's like, yeah, I know. She's like, duh, bitch. But I'm telling her that she should just go back to like, because she was showing me that she would bonk you on the head and meow at you to get your attention, but that it stopped working.
It did. It did.
Okay. So she's like, I used to do that. It worked. It doesn't work anymore. This works. So why would I stop if it works? So if she really is, one of your best friends, and if she really is your true queen,
Mhm.
then let's talk about from her perspective, if she bonks you with her head
Yeah.
and meows in that really loud voice that she's showing
Yeah.
me she uses,
Yeah. She does.
if she does that, can you commit to stopping what you're doing and like sitting down with her for a minute and like actually like being with her for a minute? Not 100% of the time, but can you commit to really knowing that that's her being like, I'm not peeing on you right now?
I mean, I absolutely can, and I'm feeling very bad about the fact that she feels like I'm abandoning her when I'm just finally getting happy again.
So there's a second part that I want to name in a moment, but it's important to remember that she's her own individual person. She has her own individual personhood and she has her own triggers. It just so happens that as you're finding your joy again, it's very easy to forget, oh, this thing that I'm doing triggers her trauma.
Yeah.
Not that it is traumatizing her, and therefore how do I kind of like work with her? And this is where you kind of struggle on two levels. One is you are effectively communicating with her. I mean, you have the skill set to be an animal communicator because you tell her shit, she hears it, she talks back to you, and when you're not overthinking it, you totally understand what she's saying.
Yeah. No. Totally.
And the thing is you're doing this thing where you're like stepping in and out of honoring that, which makes her feel bad. Does
Yeah.
that make sense? And
It does.
so if you're going to be able to be like, okay, mama got to go work, I got to go do my thing, I'm going to go have this really fun day, I might not be home until really late, I might bring someone home with me, that's okay. But get on the floor with her, really talk to her about it, be like, I'm going to tell you all about it when I get home, I love you, I'm coming home. Just really talk to her.
It's fair.
And she's saying that what she'll try to do is she has like multiple headbutts, is what she's showing me. So she has this like really gentle, loving, like, okay, I
Hmm.
get that
Yeah.
headbutt.
Definitely.
She
Yeah.
wait for that because she will give you that when she understands. And the key is with animal communication is it's not done with your analyzer, it's done with your heart. It's done with
Yeah.
pictures, like visualizing your ideas and being heartfelt as you do it. So you're good at that. It's one of your gifts in general with people, which brings
Yeah.
me to the other thing that she's pointing me to. She has this Okay. So this is where it gets complicated because she's narking on you a little bit. But she
Yeah.
feels that you are excited about some things that are exciting and excited about some things that she thinks aren't very good for you. She feels that you are just kind of like chasing. Basically, like the picture she's showing me is kind of like chasing your tail kind of thing. Like you're just chasing things. And so she's a little worried about you because she doesn't want you to get hurt again, because she sees that you have this pattern where you get excited about something or someone and then you chase it and you get really, really hopeful and then you crash. And whether she's interpreting that pattern accurately, that's the pattern she sees. And so she's worried.
Yeah, really putting me on blast, Kim. Thanks.
I
She's right next to me. She's on her side. She's like, kind of
she, she's like, yep, watch me go. Okay,
right.
good. So she's relaxing. Good. Because I want to get this right for her, because she doesn't like the pills you're giving her. You know, I think,
Oh,
I
I
mean,
can tell. She's not
she
happy about
doesn't like it. She doesn't like why you're giving it to her, because she's like, oh, you just want me to stop talking. You know, she's
I mean,
basically like,
essentially, it's true. That's very accurate. And like,
yeah,
I feel like without any form of really being able to like go to therapy with her,
yeah.
I have no other choice but like, you need to turn into a zombie.
Yeah. Well, and it's not even working. She's still
It's
peeing,
not.
right?
Yeah,
It's not even
yeah,
working. I mean, of course, do it with the advice of your vet. Do not listen to me around medical issues
right.
/ I would recommend you get her off of it in a safe and healthy way for her. So I don't know if there's like withdrawal symptoms. So you want to be careful, but she doesn't like it. She doesn't like why you're doing it. And she is willing. She's suspicious of you,
Oh,
honestly.
sure.
She doesn't completely believe that you're going to listen. She's told you that all of this stuff before, but you haven't listened. So, I mean, I think to a certain extent, she doesn't fully understand that you're not actually Dr. Doolittle. So, like, you didn't fully get this stuff, even though
Right,
she's saying you knew everything I've said. So, she just wants you. So, she doesn't 100% believe you. I wouldn't
right.
be surprised if there was 1 or 2 more incidences. She really wants to try. She doesn't like it when you guys are fighting. She doesn't like how you look at her. She doesn't like being upset. She loves you. She wants to be close to you. She wants to sleep in that goddamn bed.
I mean, is she really mad that she's been grounded?
She is, I mean, you're having a power struggle, right?
Yeah,
You're
it's
having
a
a power
hardcore
struggle.
one. Yeah.
Yeah. She's just like, that is my place. You
Yep.
know,
Yep. Mhm.
this is where we love each other. It's like the longest chunk of time in each day where we're
Yes,
together.
it's very true.
And you aren't happy not sleeping with her.
No,
She's
it
not
feels
happy.
weird.
It's awful. And she doesn't like it when you have house guests. She says the person on the couch smelled bad.
That's
Um,
fair. That's fair.
okay. Did they actually smell bad?
Yeah, I mean, a little
Okay, they
bit
smelled
to
like
me.
weed. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, wow. What? Oh
They
my
smelled
god,
like
they're
weed.
such potheads.
Yeah.
I didn't
So
even
this
realize that bothered her.
well, cats are allergic to weed. It's not good for them.
I had
So
no clue.
what I getting from her is she's willing to do it, like have a peaceful détente, you know,
Thank you.
but these are the terms.
Mhm.
And if you don't listen, then she knows how to get your attention. And
She
it's
does.
not like she's trying to be a threatener. It's just that she's like, her whole world is in this apartment. You're her whole world. This is the only power she has. And she's saying you would do the exact same thing.
Yeah.
So she's saying she's going to yell at you more. Too, she's
Okay.
probably going to be a bit louder. I mean, she's Siamese, so she's going to be a loud cat anyways, right?
Right. Yeah.
And she just needs you to listen. She's very like, you have to listen to me. Has she in the last like couple minutes like bunked your head at all gently?
She hasn't, but she's definitely been like right. This is a most amount of time that she's been as close. She's within 1 foot of me,
Mhm.
and she's like in a very relaxed position. Her body language is very. I haven't seen this body language before, to be honest.
Okay. Because more than a lot of cats that I've talked to, she loves being heard. She loves being respected. Like
Yeah.
like in a very kind of like human style way, you know, she wants you to listen to what she's saying. She wants you to like get her the kind of Montessori style of teaching where you like everything is at the child's height and
Yeah.
you know the teachers have to make eye contact with the child. She wants that from you. And I think you were probably more like that when you were teaching. Probably a lot more like conscientious of her specific needs
Very much
and
so.
you
Yeah.
are moving slower as a person. And the way that you're moving fast is exciting in LA. It's not per se a problem, but it is a little bit of an incompatibility with the two of you. And I would contend, and it's hard for me to say this at 100%, but like, because I'm seeing things from her perspective, but I'm inclined to say to you that the way you were in terms of self-maintenance and connection to yourself at home back in Houston was a bit healthier than the way you are now. And that's her perspective. So again, I'm not sure if that's the truth, but that's what she sees, is that you're like moving really fast now, even when you don't have to.
I can see how she sees that. I was not really, into fitness. I would just spend weekends at home with her. And here I'm very physically fit. I work out about 8 times a week. And then I have like multiple side hustles. I do work remotely, so I am home for like half the day. But I'm doing a million things in LA. And I did 2 things in Houston, which was
Yeah.
teach and come home.
Right. That makes sense. And it makes sense both that she would feel that way if your whole life was pretty much dedicated to her before, but also, it sounds like what you're doing is go, go, go. And again, her concern is that there's a crash whenever you do this. And she doesn't want you to crash for
Right.
both selfish reasons and also because she really loves you. The two of you have a real romantic, of course, not sexual, but like a real
Right.
like love, tender, you're invested in each other. It just feels really like very loving and very invested. And so part of why she's doing this is because she's trying to get you to slow down in your life, not just for her. And that's something that she doesn't want me to gloss over for you, because as much as she's, the queen, she's also your best friend. That's how she sees herself. She wants you to see her as your best friend.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely I love her. I mean, the romantic without the sexual part, I totally understand that, and that's real. But like, I've evolved myself in being, when I adopted her, I was a virgin,
Oh, wow.
and I didn't become sexually active until 3 weeks after I moved to West Hollywood. Very much like Boy from the South moves to WeHo and
Totally.
snap your fingers.
There are like two major themes here. There's the one of like all relationships change and grow. And there's a way that the two of you have both changed and the relationship hasn't fully grown to accommodate that.
Right.
And then there's just, you have a cat with a lot of trauma.
Right.
And right now your life doesn't fully accommodate that, whereas before it really did.
Yeah.
So it's complicated.
That
She's a
is.
really complicated cat. And none of this should stop you from having relationships or having people
That's where I
over.
was
But
gonna sort of
yeah,
transition into it.
yeah, none of it should. It's just you have to include her more like you used to. You have to like
Include
talk
her
to
more.
her about it. Yeah, and
Oh,
talk to
okay.
her about like, I'm having this person over. I'm going to get a little strange and or like we're just going to hang out and have dinner or whatever it is, but
Right.
talk to her, because what happens is when you invite other people into the home, you forget that she's a person and you treat
Yeah,
her like a cat.
I do.
And she is offended mortally by this.
Oh my God.
Mortally.
I
This
do.
is,
It's
yeah,
such a
this is,
switch.
it's like not fair. You can't treat her like, you
Sorry.
can't communicate with her and do this and then ignore it. And it's like, listen, human to human, I totally get it, because it's like, are you nuts? Are you being a dramatic person, or are you actually communicating with your cat? And
Right.
the answer is the latter. You're for sure communicating with your cat. She's for sure hearing you, and what she's hearing is like she's disposable when other humans are around, which is again her trauma, right?
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a really powerful opportunity for you to simply be more present. And that might look like, if you're in a cab on the way home with someone, just
Hmm.
closing your eyes and really breathing and sending pictures to her about like, I'm coming home with this person
Right.
and this is what's happening. It doesn't have to take 2 full minutes,
Right.
It doesn't have to be a big deal. You don't have to like call her on the phone and be like, "Hey mom," you know what I mean? Like, you just have to like remember she's your fucking best friend and your roommate and she deserves to know.
Hmm.
If you can make eye contact with her, she really likes eye contact. If you could engage with her as a person, she would really appreciate that. She's a lot like you. She's a little bit like once bitten, twice shy.
Yeah.
So I think you will see, God willing, I'm knocking on wood here, I
Yeah.
think you will see an improvement in her behavior. I would be a little surprised if it was 100% improvement right away.
Of course.
But it is possible because the two of you have a very good relationship at core.
She just rolled onto her back for belly rubs.
Oh, that's
Oh my
great. Has she
God.
been doing that lately?
She has not wanted any belly rubs from me in a while.
Oh my God. I'm so glad. Okay. I'm just overjoyed that we got to do this. What's so powerful about this is she's going out of her way to show you
Yeah.
that she's satisfied with how this conversation's going.
Definitely.
And you just want to keep on trusting that. And hey, worst case scenario, you're just like a crazy cat lady and you're overthinking it and your
Yeah.
cat stops peeing. That's your
Yeah.
worst case scenario here, right?
Totally.
So I would say lean into this. And she just wants you to know that she loves you. She wants me to make sure that you know that she's loved you this whole time, She hasn't been trying to be mean to you.
Yeah.
She's just been trying to get your attention, and she doesn't know how else to do it. Okay, one sec, one more. You changed her food?
Oh no. Well, I ran out of the wet food she likes, and then I didn't want to go to Petco, so I gave her some other. She wasn't happy about that.
She's not into it. She's not into it. She's like,
So
what
picky.
are we
Ugh,
even? Yes, yes. I
that's
mean,
not
listen,
good. Where'd
you
you get
you
that
took
from?
her home. You said, "You shall be my queen." I bend
Mhm.
my knee to you, and then you changed her food, and she's like, "What?"
Yeah.
So yeah, so get her the food back.
Okay. I'll
Okay,
do that
she does
today.
want me to tell you. Okay, listen, you can also, you can like order it and have it sent to your house
I
on
can.
repeat.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's like, you've done it before, right?
Yeah.
Why aren't you doing it? She's so annoyed. She's like, why are we making this hard?
Yep.
She's really funny, man. She knows like everything about you. I mean, animals often do, but
Oh my
she's
god.
clocking you.
Please don't put me
Um,
on blast anymore,
it's
Kim.
it's too late. It's
It's too
too
late.
late.
You know
So
too
so
much.
yeah. So change that. The only other thing is, does she have like a water fountain, like a running water thing?
When I first adopted her 5 years ago, which is weird,
Uh-huh.
I did have one for her, and then I just switched over to like regular bowl
And
water.
she liked it.
Oh, you did?
Didn't she drink out of it?
I mean, she did, but it was like a hassle
For her or for you?
for me.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it is a hassle. She likes it. She would like to have one water fountain and then another water bowl in another room. She is alone enough that it would be nice for her to have that. I don't know if it's actually like she's equating being alone with like something moving in the space. Also, they have these little solar powered things that like create rainbows in your window. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't have one of those, but as a gay man living in West Hollywood, I would love to get one of those.
Could you please? Because she would love to have something to chase
Okay.
and to like
Yeah.
look like there's just not a lot of playing happening, so she's
No,
kind of like,
there's
how can
not.
we bring more movement in? And that might look like looking at different kinds of toys she can play with on her own. I don't know if she really likes balls, but like I think that you should start doing some investigation. She needs a little bit more engagement,
And
and
stimulation. Good
it's
to
all
know.
going to be a process. Nothing
Yeah.
has to be fixed overnight, but she is really grateful that what she's saying is called in a professional. I think is thank you,
Oh,
girl.
thank
I think from what she's showing me, and she's going to try to show you improvements right away as a way to encourage you to follow through with your end of the bargain, because she wants to follow through with her end of the bargain. I bet you can even have her sleep with you again. I mean, I know it's a risky thing to recommend,
I
but
mean, I love her. I'm willing to try it. As long as she understands, like, I want to date again. Like, I want another boyfriend. You know.
none of this is about the boyfriend. None of this is
Okay.
about the boyfriend. It's all about you treating her like a chair.
I have been treating her a little bit
Yeah.
like a chair. That's fair.
Yeah. She wants you to be in love. She wants you to slow down and have a boyfriend. She in no way doesn't want you to have a boyfriend or three
Oh,
boyfriends. She
oh,
just wants you to be more centered and more grounded around her.
that's fair. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely. Makes a
So
lot of
that's what you can control and also bring in a new true love situation. Totally. She's not going to pee on a guy who's not cheating on you.
That's fair. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
She was pissed.
Yeah. Thank
No one
you.
cheats on us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Oh
don't think I
God.
really ever thanked her for doing that.
Yeah, I think this relationship is very, very repairable,
Thank you so
and
much.
it's so my pleasure. I'm really glad we got to do this. She's a total baby and a sweetheart, and I really hope everything works out with you guys.
Thank you. It's been an honor talking to you, and I look
Yay.
forward to following up soon.
Yay. All right, take really good care, sweetheart. I've got tons to say, but so do you. And I want to encourage each and every one of you who has a voice, who has a perspective, to start your own podcast and do it on Anchor, which is where I do it. Anchor is free and it's easy. And what you do is you just record on your phone directly what you want to say. You can edit the content on your phone. And then Anchor does the heavy lifting for you. They distribute your podcast everywhere from Spotify to Apple Podcasts and all the other platforms that podcasts are heard on. And you can even make money from your podcast. Anchor helps you out with all of that. So check out anchor.fm to get your podcast started. Spotify is the world's leading music streaming service, and now it can be your go-to for listening to podcasts too. You can listen to literally all of the podcasts there, and you can do it for free without a premium account. On Spotify, you can download songs and podcasts and listen to them online wherever you are, whenever you want to. You can follow your favorite podcasts like mine so that you never miss an episode. And you can easily share whatever you're listening to on social media, which I find super exciting because I am sharing my podcast all the live long day on Instagram. Just search for Ghost of a Podcast on the Spotify app or browse podcasts in the Your Library tab. Then follow me so that you never miss an episode. Spotify is the world's leading streaming music service, and now it can be your go-to for podcasts as well. All right, I got a lot to say this week, so just wind me up and let me go. I'm ready. Are you ready? I want to look at the chart of Roe v. Wade and talk about what's coming to the life of Roe v. Wade. When we look at a birth chart, we're looking at the life of an individual person. But we can also cast charts for events. And this is a really powerful thing to do when looking at something like Roe v. Wade, which is a law that protects a woman's right to choose what the hell to do with her body. Or not just women, people with uteruses. Before I get into it, this week, there's not too much happening astrologically. We're looking at the week of May 19th through the 25th of 2019. And on the 21st, we move into Gemini season. The Sun and Mercury are conjunct in the sign of Gemini. And this is wonderful. It's great for figuring things out. It's great for having your ideas come together. It's great for communicating your ideas. What is negative potentially about this is getting distracted. So don't get so distracted by the task at hand that you forget your goals, my friends. Your goals are what you're trying to achieve. The task is maybe a bunch of details. The task is not as important as the goal. Do not forget. On the 22nd, we have a Mars sextile to Uranus, and this is activating. It's a great time to be mobilized, to get things done, to try something new, and to be brave. It's a lovely transit. And honestly, from the 19th to the 25th, that's the major stuff. So I want to name something here, which is that what's happening in the world around us, certainly in the US, what's happening politically with the attack on women and people with uteruses. I struggle to say the right thing. I struggle to say the right thing because I want to just scream my ass off and just say it's fucked up and unfair. And it is. It's fucked up and it's not fair. However, I want to make this as constructive as possible. So let me just speak to this. So many people, spiritual people who have, audiences who are speaking about issues related to the soul, and so many people who maybe aren't spiritual but have, are influencers, quote unquote, do not talk about politics. I want to speak to that briefly. Sometimes it's because they don't care. And it is what it is. But I think there's another reason why people don't talk about politics. It's because it's scary. It's scary to directly confront things that you feel out of control about or you don't fully understand. It's hard because talking about things publicly, not everybody is an expert on these things. I sure as hell am not a political expert at all about anything. But what I am willing to do is to be wrong in public. I am willing to try my best in efforts to further something positive in a conversation. It does take some courage. I think it's important that we have compassion for people who feel scared and feel uncertain about what to do. And if you're one of those people, you're not sure what to say and you're scared of saying the wrong thing, I hear you, friend. And again, I want to invite you to take risks. I want to invite you to participate in whatever ways you feel you can. At the end of this episode, I'm going to share some resources of who you can support and how you can support them. But let's just dive into this Roe versus Wade event chart. Roe versus Wade became law in the United States in Washington, D.C. on January 22nd, 1973. 1973 wasn't that long ago. Now, the exact time, it's not 100%. According to astro.com and their Astro Databank, the exact time is 10 a.m. and it's sourced, but it seems like it wasn't actually recorded. So there's some variable with that exact time of birth. And for you astrology students, without an exact time, we can't track the rising sign, the midheaven, and the houses perfectly accurately. So there is that to consider. But my focus for this conversation is going to be what's happening now to the event chart of Roe versus Wade. In other words, to the law. And I want to look at this as a way to empower us to know what we need to do to fight. because what is happening to this chart is that Neptune, transiting Neptune, has been forming a square to the Mars-Saturn opposition that is in this chart. Now, the Mars-Saturn opposition indicates how it's always been something that has been fought by patriarchy. Now, I could have said men, but it's not exclusively men, and it's not all men, right? But it is by patriarchy, the system that is upheld and that supports and promotes men, right? This Neptune square to these two planets that's been happening to this chart for some time now, what it indicates is that there's been a growing moralistic push against it. What it also says is that things aren't being done to the T. All of these kind of like legal actions that have been taken by states to criminalize people for getting abortions, to criminalize doctors for performing abortions, and all the other things that these terrible laws are attempting to do. This chart indicates that it's probably not being done very efficiently, which is great news for the ACLU and other legal organizations that are going to be fighting them. The difficult news or the bad news here is that this chart has a stellium in Capricorn, and it right now, transiting Saturn, is sitting right on top of its north node, and Pluto is sitting right on top of its Jupiter. We have Uranus forming a square to the sun of this chart, and we have Pluto forming a square to Uranus in this chart. So let me decode it all, my friends. Let me decode it all without getting too in the weeds of astrology. Throughout the course of 2019, we will see through government, through the system, the hierarchical system of democracy, we will see pressure placed upon this law and what it is meant to be at its very core. And what we will see is people rising up in the streets to fight it, or we will see people buckling under this pressure. Now, I am saying this because I want to empower you to know that this is going to last a very long time. Pluto is going to be on that Jupiter, and Jupiter is associated with law, for 2 years. This fight is not going to be over in 6 months. It's not done. Regardless of what happens in the next 6 to 9 months, I don't think that's going to be it. It's going to keep on going. And so I want to empower you guys to really know that you have a role to play. And that might look like you creating monthly donations to organizations that you believe are doing good work. That might look like you not burning yourself out this week on your outrage and hurt and fear about this topic so that you can participate over the course of the upcoming couple of years so that we get a good outcome. This certainly will look like a change to the law. There will be some sort of change to the law. We can fight for that change to be an improvement or strengthening of it, or we may lose it. Unfortunately, in 2020, what's going to happen is that Saturn is going to move right on top of that Jupiter. And so in 2020, we're going to have both Pluto and Saturn sitting on top of that poor Jupiter. What this means is that we are going to be looking at the patriarchal hierarchical system, trying to basically break apart Roe v. Wade and all that it implies. And it's going to do this in a way that is hiding behind law and hiding behind morality and decency. The good news of this is we will still have our Uranus square to the sun. We will still have our Pluto square to Uranus. And those two transits indicate that the people will not be quiet and the people will not just take it. And the mass of people are not for this law becoming either broken down into pieces or totally destroyed. So when I look at this chart, I want to tell you the truth, because what am I here for, right? I'm going to tell you the truth. When I look at this chart, it doesn't look amazing. It looks hard. It looks hard right now. And it looks hard over the next year or two. It does. But I don't want to disempower you by telling you this. I just want to tell you the damn truth. And you could have known it if you've been reading the news, right? What I want to say to you is that this is the time. If you have a spark, if you have a glimmer of an interest in running for office, now is the time, my friends. Seriously, now is the time. Get involved in politics, in law, in activism, if you're at all interested, if this is at all consistent with your nature and your skill set, because the system can be reworked. We have Saturn and Pluto in the sign of Capricorn. And this is a breaking down of the system that will either result in hierarchy and patriarchy becoming more entrenched and less humane, or it breaking down in a way that better serves the people, by the people, for the people. You heard it, right? The thing to remember with astrology is it's all about cycles. So Capricorn is such a boner killer. Capricorn is all about heaviness and right and wrong and punishment and reward. After Capricorn comes Aquarius. My friends, after Capricorn always comes Aquarius. And when we come to the time of Aquarius, we can rebuild our hierarchies. We can rebuild our political system. We can rebuild it much more gracefully and effectively if we are in the system, right? If we are a part of the system. So this is a real bad time to check out. This is a real bad time to say, someone else will fix this. Someone else will get this. Because it is you. You for sure are going to be a part of the solution, or you're not. And unfortunately, it's an all hands on deck time. Now, here's the thing. We are the fucking majority, my friends. We are the majority. We have power if we choose to use it, right? This is the thing about astrology, about humanity, is that we have free will. We can choose to look on our Instagram feeds and like things and call it activism. We can choose to play video games or watch Netflix for 7 million hours. We can choose to vote for game shows and not in elections. We have choice. I think it's really important that we make the slightly less sexy choice of participating in the world that desperately needs us, because it is also a time through the magic of the internet, through the magic of technology, where we have access to each other. We can empower each other to inform each other, to care for each other, to invite each other in to share information, instead of to make negative assumptions that your allies, maybe your less informed allies, maybe your allies from a different perspective, but your allies are your enemy because they said it wrong or they don't quite get it right. I really want to encourage you to invite in, to call in allyship, because we need each other. We really do. We do. We need each other. And I think it's great to have disagreements. And I think it's great to learn and challenge each other and to understand that there's a way to do that without shaming and blaming. It's hard. It's really hard. And it's ultimately about your relationship with yourself and your tolerance for emotional complexity and your tolerance for failure, for being wrong. But again, I want to invite you in to try, because as we see the astrology of these turbulent times, we all have a role to play. And your role is not to do everything. And it's not to do all the things or to understand everything or to fix anything. You alone don't have to fix anything, but you have to participate. And you have to know that if you choose not to participate, that's your participation. There's no sitting this out. So what are you going to do? How are you going to be a part of this world? How are you going to be there for the most vulnerable amongst us? I want to really invite people to talk to your friends, to talk to your families. It's very easy to avoid these conversations because they're hard conversations and they don't go great all the time. But I want to encourage you to ask questions and share your perspective, to have those uncomfortable conversations, and to allow them to not go well. That's okay. We don't win people over by barking at them, and we don't win people over by not talking to them. We don't win people over by not listening to them. That's my invitation and challenge to you all. Do it about whatever topic you feel most called to do it, but do it. We need to really listen to what people are showing us with our actions, and we need to take responsibility with what our actions are saying about us. And that, my loves, is my very lighthearted astrology take for you. And I fucking love you guys. I love us people. I love all of us. Even the people that I don't like, I kind of love. And I want to say that that is just an easier way to be. It's an easier way to live. And I don't think that has to mean putting on rose-colored glasses. I think I've said this before on the podcast. I'm not hopeful. I don't have a great deal of hope, but man, am I determined. I am determined to try my best. I'm determined to be a part of the solution. Even if I'm on a sinking ship, I do want to have a bucket. I do want to try to get the water off the damn boat. That's my move. So if you're hopeful, oh, I'm jealous of you. That's exciting. Yay, you. Share that with people. If you're not hopeful, that's cool. You don't have to be hopeful, but try to find some determination. Try to find some purpose, because that makes life easier to live, and it makes your time here a lot more productive and useful. My loves, again, I thank you for joining me this week and every week on Ghost of a Podcast. If you like what you're hearing, please do subscribe to the podcast wherever you're listening to it, and also star it, review it, do what you got to do. Just do something nice. It didn't hurt my feelings to do. Now, I promised you some resources, and I want to list them off. I'll leave them in the show notes. So if you're interested, you can copy and paste or whatever. Support groups that are working hard to keep abortion safe and legal in Alabama are Yellowhammer Fund, the ACLU of Alabama. There's Planned Parenthood Southeast, and there's Sister Song. There's Spark Reproductive Justice Now, and Access Reproductive Care Southeast. And I got these resources from Supermajority, which is an organization that I'm really excited that I joined, and I'm getting email prompts from, and I encourage you to as well. Again, links will be in the show notes. Also, make sure you are registered to vote, my loves. Make sure you're registered to vote, whether you're in the US or somewhere else. Voting it's a right to exercise. You think your vote's not going to matter? You think it's bullshit? All right, waste 5 minutes of your life on the off chance that maybe your vote will count. I'm a Capricorn. I can't help it. Let's get practical, shall we? Yeah, I'm not going to ask you to support me on Patreon this week again, because if you're going to throw money around, do me a favor. Give it to the ACLU. Give it to one of these organizations I just named. Become a monthly donor if you can. Find a way of participating. If it's 50 cents, that's cool. Find a way of participating. Okay, that's it. I love you.
Every year they say the end is near, but we're still here. Yeah, we're still here.